it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're zooming in and focusing in on how to handle the state of inner conflict, cognitive dissonance, constant crippling emotional pain, or feeling like you cannot live in a sense of certainty. You don't know really what is in your best interest anymore. You don't know like what direction the light is. You don't know if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe you're feeling, completely exhausted, drained, and you're in a whirlwind of emotional struggle or emotional combativeness with an emotionally manipulative individual such as a psychopath or a narcissist. Someone who has a pathological sense of self-importance, a lack of empathy. In other words, they don't have the ability to recognize, feel, discuss, or acknowledge and validate your feelings, needs, wishes, desires, your inner voice. So they completely null you out, shut you out. And through the covert narcissist ways, oftentimes that is done through like a quiet hostility. There's a lack of communication. There's there's a quiet intimidation. There's no discussion. There's kind of a rebuffing off, a sniding off, a sort of quiet, snubbing of you. In other words, where they don't validate you. And by virtue of that, they're sending a message to you that you are not worthwhile talking to. You are not going to receive what you need from them, i.e. information, communication, the truth. And they have a whole series of different feelings, thoughts, and emotions, which never really comes to the surface. They're very adept at hiding this inner life. And it's not that all people don't have an inner life or a privacy with which they feel with, but there's a pathological amount of this. Pathological meaning disordered, diseased, not normal, unhealthy, and on a rippling effect, a negative influence or impact on you. Particularly when it comes to, not giving you the information, the acknowledgement, the validation, the guidance, the love, the physical validation, the hugging, whatever it is, that you feel like you're missing out. And then this creates an inner conflict because you then are, keeping in mind what you are still receiving from this individual. And then furthermore, they will keep you intimidated and feeling dependency. In other words, emotionally manipulating you through feelings of that they have the right, they have the right outlook on things. They have the right perspective. There is no alternative. They don't discuss with you. So meanwhile, you are underrepresented in the relationship. And this can create a state of cognitive dissonance. In other words, where you know better, but you act against your inner judgment. You know better, but you stay anyway. You know better, but you continue to suffer. You know better, and you continue to walk around with fear, which then compounding over time becomes social anxiety, which becomes self-limiting beliefs, which becomes low self-esteem. You feel like you can't make friends. You feel like you can't become employed. You feel like, you're just helpless, like you're destined to live an unhappy life. And all that is a ramification of the negative messages with which they will have you believe. It's almost as if, by withholding, they're validating this negativity about you. So realize that this inner conflict, this cognitive dissonance has to be resolved. And it is recognizing it, understanding it, and understanding that, this individual has set that up in place to keep more or less a sort of dependency. So in other words, if you are in a constant state of fear or uncertainty or trepidation or walking on eggshells or feeling like you can't have the emotional stamina, the mental stamina, they won't let you, they won't let you, communicate. It's very much like this. If you are to read a book and you never are able to discuss it, if you're never able to, test your ideas, your validity, it becomes, you don't learn. So that's why, like in school, you'll have, classes where you'll read a text and then you'll discover it and you'll have a discussion. And that'll help strengthen your intellect. It'll strengthen your critical thinking skills. It'll strengthen your reason. It'll strengthen your emotional intelligence. You'll be able to have that collaborative experience, which, gives you a sense of strength, learning, and security, and creates the neural pathways which then, lead on to the next experience, which lead on to the next discussion. Then you have that sort of what they call it, a distinction or an awareness about you. And then some people call it an intelligence, an emotional intelligence. So, for example, it's like being in a classroom and never allowed to be called on. You can never raise your hand. You can never be validated. You can never get that good job from the teacher, or yes, tell me more about that. You don't get a chance to experience that. So your abilities then begin to not be exercised. Your inner skills, your inner voice, your inner instinct, your inner you is getting shut down. And that is oftentimes through that intimidation. And it creates a dependency. So therefore, you're always at the beck and call of this individual. They're able to get a very sadistic or sad pleasure. Look how right I am. Look how dumb you are. Look how quiet you are. Look how helpless you are. But you better do this. You better do that. So in other words, it's like they punch you down and expect you to rise up. So your life becomes just a cycle of, falling down and getting up, falling down and getting up, and falling down so hard eventually that one day it's difficult to get up. So, you need to surround yourself with people who remind you and value you for who you are, validate you for who you are and where you want to go, and embrace that and have a vision for your life moving forward, so you can help nurture and, get that vision for your life moving forward. But it's very difficult to be in cognitive congruence in working with your values and your vision if you are constantly in a state of fear or, with relationships with emotionally manipulative individuals. So hence the need to go no contact, extricate yourself, create an exit strategy, and begin to build yourself in these ways that we discussed on the channel, surrounding yourself with people who understand and validate you for what you're going through, are able to acknowledge and give you respect for who you are and where you're at right now, and help you move to the next step so you can begin to establish and move towards a future successfully, which is more positive and gives you a feeling of more peace, harmony, hope, freedom, awareness, higher consciousness, enjoyment, experiencing the miraculous, the awesome, your guardian angel, the higher power, whatever you want to call the finer parts of life, where it's just like, yay, finally I made it. You're having more of those experiences and less of the combative, intimidating, dependency experiences, which are oftentimes encouraged within a psychopathic or a narcissistic relationship. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and yes, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. And a huge shout out to those of you who have recently donated. Thank you so much. Thank you for your viewership.